Welcome back to the Loud Sound Epicenter podcast. It's good to be back here behind the desk finally, and I'm joined once again by one of my favorites, Barack Obama. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Well, actually, we're black-pilled, but hopefully we can clear things up with this emergency broadcast.
I hear you. And that's why I wanted you to take the helm because you are a scholar. And before we get into tonight's midterm coverage, since we got breaking news, we will start with establishing your credentials. So let me share screens here for the lovely audience that has been possibly neglecting some of the content. So first of all, Unreconstructed on Substack. I think you're currently in Twitter jail at the moment for certain unforeseen reasons, but until then, you got plenty to go over. And I was shilling one of my favorites, your Raymond Chandler.
Yeah. It can't be all politics. You know, the cultural aspect's very important.
Yes,
that was sort
yes.
of in reaction to the anti-American posting.
I would encourage everyone to check it out if they're overdosing on some of the politics and want something a little bit different. If you want to stick with the politics, this is one of your latest. So I want to send people that way if that's if they are interested. But a lot of
lots
people.
of good content about the corruption of the American inner city.
Right. And so you're kind of you're a regular here at the Double R Diner and Twitter more broadly, or more so our side. So I thank you for coming on here, man. I appreciate it. So we will dive right in since everybody and their mother is doing the same. We'll start with the governor's race, and I'll share screens again. All right. So, my friend, where do you want to begin?
Well, I think the general pattern of this cycle, which was incredibly unexpected because of a lot of sort of dissident right priors, is that there's been a total underperformance in the Rust Belt and an overperformance in the Sun Belt. So the classical model is that Reaganism, American movement conservatism in the 1980s, its base of power is sort of that stretch from Southern California all the way to Florida, sort of Dixieland plus the lower West, and then occasionally the Midwest if they're lucky. And you've really seen a resurgence of that sort of Sun Belt dynamic with overperformances in Texas, Florida, Georgia on the gubernatorial level. Arizona is still counting the ballots, but I believe that Lake will win. You know, the margin's pretty close right now. And that's a very good sign for sort of Trump-aligned people because she'll be able to make changes to the election laws there. And after they tried to screw her out of it, I don't think she'll be very merciful. Nevada as well, an integral part of the Sun Belt. Paul Laxalt was a senator back then, I think. And he's the grandfather of Adam Laxalt, currently the sort of Ted Cruz of Nevada running and in the lead of the Senate race. That's the gubernatorial race. You have Lombardo, more of a moderate Republican. For the conspiratorially minded, he was the sheriff in charge of managing the Las Vegas shooting. Make of that what you will. But in general, I think he's pretty electable, solidly in the lead. He's got great rural numbers, and he's running up the margins in sort of Vegas, that area. So Nevada will probably be red for the foreseeable future if they're able to change the laws there. So those are the sort of that's what you have to be watching out for in the coming days. On the senatorial level in Arizona, it's a bit of a black pill for the dissident right. Our guy Blake Masters is taking the L to Mark Kelly right now, but they claim to have enough ballots in the waiting to come back from their current deficit. So we'll see what happens there. Now, conversely to the overperformance in the Sun Belt, you've got Republicans just completely taking the L on the local level in the Rust Belt. Michigan completely blue. Tudor Dixon blown out. Betsy DeVos the checks are not cashing. Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano, the Christian nationalist guy, the guy who was friends with Torba, just completely destroyed. Even Tony Evers, this is the one that gets me the most. Tony Evers narrowly winning over Tim Michels in Wisconsin. And this is basically your sort of Wisconsin paleo left electorate not going red on the local level, which is very bad for election laws, goes without saying. And the fact that he wasn't punished for letting places like Kenosha burn in the 2020 race riots is pretty bad. So yeah, generally a terrible situation. If you want to look at the Senate level in the Senate level in the Rust Belt.
One sec. One moment here. Let me switch gears here. All right, we'll be sharing again.
I'll talk about Arizona later. Arizona and Florida, I think I know more about than other states.
All right.
So yeah, you've got Masters behind there. But particularly, I want to draw your attention to Wisconsin, which stayed red, but by a much closer margin than anyone expected. Ron Johnson, pretty conservative guy, held on, but I think that's probably just the power of incumbency. Doesn't look like there was much of a wave or a popular vote shift there. And probably the most the most black-filling portion of the night for my wallet was Dr. Oz going down in Pennsylvania to the drooling retard John Fetterman. Paul Fahrenheit cheering right now. But that's a race to look into, because it really does represent ancestral Democrats in Western Pennsylvania who were missed by the polls in the primary and in the general, going blue for Fetterman. I'm not sure if you want to point the finger at election shenanigans. They do have a blue governor. They did have some lawsuits going, but in the end, it just looks like Oz took the L, and that's he's not necessarily our guy, but as taking the temperature of a state, the fact that they picked this pretty radical guy over a slimy moderate is it's a little bit worrying given the climate that everyone expects.
What do you think about Oz having the Trump endorsement? How does that play into the dynamic?
It should have been a lot more.
I know that
that's the overview.
I know there's been some questioning as to whether how much palatability the Trump endorsement does have, and some people are a bit more pessimistic about it than others. Probably some of the divide we're going to be seeing in the foreseeable future on the right.
Oh yeah, I mean the DeSantis question is very big. That's been big, not just domestically, but speaking from the Australian perspective, with exposure to the sort of like center right networks here, they're very bullish on the Florida governor.
Well, speaking of, we can dive right into that.
Oh yeah, that's very interesting.
And that's probably the most fascinating dynamic that I've been trying to catch up with.
Totally lopsided defeat in an X-wing state. But what I would caution is that it's not really I don't think it's a model that can be nationalized. And there are so many unique factors that led to that big victory that I don't think will replicate. And I think it just comes down to the Florida Democratic Party is complete dog shit, and the candidates they ran are terrible. So you could look at Charlie Crist there, who was the Republican governor like 10 years ago, changed to being an independent when Obama ran, misreading the political climate, lost to Marco Rubio, took the L, and then lost to Rick Scott again in like 2014, I think, or 18. No, 18 was Nelson. So he's lost gubernatorial races before, I think. And so the Democrat sort of machine in Florida has just been completely broken by election law changes. They count the votes very quickly, you may remember from yesterday. Same with Ohio, and that's probably why you don't see the same irregularities that you do in other states.
I wanted to share something here, if I can find either the Twitter post or the article. I'll share screens in a sec. I thought this was Newsweek, which was going to may have given me an opportunity to cite Josh Hammer, but it was actually New York Post that I was thinking of, or that it turned out to be. Let me here it is. Let me share screens. And this was something that caught my eye, but to show you some of the divide or some of the diagnosis that's we're going to be hearing on the right. Seems, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, there was a big headline in the New York Post, but it's important to remember that the New York Post is a extremely neoconservative paper for the longest time. So this shows that the neocons are definitely interested in drafting DeSantis.
Right, and it looks like that's going to be the wedge that Trump voters or would-be voters on the GOP are going to have to make a choice on, since that
Maybe,
seems to
maybe.
be.
I always thought he would chicken out, but I don't know. It's a very. I think some of the analysis is deceptive, as you can expect from the neocons, but at the end of the day, it is definitely an optics loss for Trump, and that's going to have effects on 2024 moving forward. Yeah, so that's the general state of play. We can go state by state, and I'll probably have some more comments.
Right. Well, why don't we start with my shindig on the West Coast? Well, one sec. Are we on governor?
That's governor right now, yeah.
Okay.
So you could look at Newsom. Interesting. It looks like the Republicans are doing slightly better. Obviously, they take a while to count the votes, and though of course no one expects Newsom to lose, it does have a positive effect down ballot, and that could help save the House if the Republicans do better there. If you were to go to New York with the governor's race there, that's interesting to look at as well. Zeldin did not win. People like James Kirkpatrick say because of the demographics there, it's a post-political state. It's permanently a one-party state. But because he did so well, because he got within 5 points, a lot of New York congressional candidates really outperformed. So if you look at try and find it, the House swings in New York were pretty positive for the Republicans. So people are seeing a narrow House victory, but I'm not as turned on to that.
Yeah, me neither. And I was curious if you would say the same thing about New York. Would you say that about California? Would you say?
Yeah, I think the recall election shows that I think the partisan identity is too strong to really break through there. Probably.
Yeah, I know that there's and on this channel too, some of the questions about California's viability. What is the population like, and what does that mean for the political ramifications? I'm open to Thomas's theory about it being unceremoniously declared a blue state for questionable reasons. And there's also a population shift that we can get into the Zoomer angle in a sec here. But yeah, California's state within the 21st century, that seems to be something people wonder about.
American Populist asked if Nevada is red for Senate. Last time I checked, it was, and I think that generally Laxalt had a pretty decent lead. He's not running as far as the governor. He's probably a lot more right wing. That's why. Although there is one caveat that Nevada has incredibly permissive election laws, and they're allowed to count ballots for a long time afterwards. So you do need to watch out for that. But I believe it's still red right now.
Yeah, let me check the chat in case there's any.
And as a question of grand strategy, basically with the Democrats winning in Pennsylvania, you need Nevada to cancel that out. Georgia will go to a runoff, and now the open question is Arizona. If they take Arizona, that's 51 Senate seats. That's a majority now, which will make a Georgia runoff a lot easier, I believe. If not, it's back to Georgia. It's a repeat of 2020 with Herschel Walker, which will be good content.
Let me see. Yeah, for American Populist, yeah. Thank you.
Looks like he's still in with 88% of the voted in. No comment.
I'll check the.
So that looks kind of positive. That might cancel out the Pennsylvania L.
I'll catch up in here. And if anybody else has any questions, of course, we're opening up the stage here. We got Paul Hall and Shag. Good to see you, man. And Stephen David, thank you, man.
I think Steve Turley had an interesting take where he said that basically you get blue and purple states going bluer, but then red states getting redder. So they're securing their strongholds in Florida and Texas. It is very much a cope. A lot of people on the more boomer Twitter side making fun of Beto O'Rourke as if anyone expected him to win in a red wave year. So generally, the red wave, quote unquote, was unevenly distributed in states with good election laws and positive demographics for the GOP.
And I noticed you were checking out the Robert Barnes's coverage.
Oh yeah,
And
well he had an interesting take, quite nuanced. You probably it's on his locals board and not Twitter. But effectively, his point is that there is no monocausal explanation for what happened because everything was so different in each individual state. You can't really blame extremists when Dr. Oz loses. You can't really blame Trump when people like O'Day in Colorado lose. You can't, and this is an interesting point for the dissident right to reckon with. Can you blame demographics when the GOP did really well in brown Texas and brown Florida while losing ground in the white Rust Belt? I think that's an interesting point to consider. Though I do respect the coverage of people like Kirkpatrick. It is sort of like a test case for multiracial populism, which is sort of a cringe idea and concept, but it looks like it may have some legs.
Well, and since Generation Z seems to be 50% demographically is white, thereabouts. People are wondering if Gen Z turnout was less of a generational divide and more of a demographic one. I think I saw Joel Davis and some others on Telegram hashing that out.
Oh yeah, I think that's a big influence for sure.
And I was trying to verify that in the Telegram channel for the show, but if anybody wanted to throw in their 2 cents, I think it was Frank Jagger was helping me. Someone was sharing a 2020 POTUS election, and so I think there was some confusion about the dates, but it is insightful if people see some of those posts or were wondering what Gen Z's future prospects may be.
Stephen David on Arizona says that in the long term it'll go blue, and the Super Bowl will be pulled out of Phoenix as a retaliation for extremists. That would be interesting because it's sort of a repeat of the Martin Luther King Day controversies there from back in the 80s. But for a prospective white pill in Arizona, I would say that Masters and Fincham, basically the Teal Senate guy and the QAnon Secretary of State candidate, they're running 5 points behind right now. But people like Kari Lake and the Attorney General, Abe Hamadeh, they're sort of like 0.3 points behind the Democratic competitors with a third of the vote left. So I think I very much see Lake winning and Hamadeh winning. So with a sort of really far-right governor and Attorney General, they may be able to affect some rule changes or prosecute people. I wouldn't write it off just yet. Also, as a state, I think Arizona's got much better demographics than states that have trended blue like Georgia. Georgia's trending blue because of a lot of carpetbaggers and African Americans coming back to Atlanta, which is pretty terrible for the Republican Party, considering this year they basically only won 13%. Blacks have remained consistently blue. I'm very black-pilled on the blacks, whereas Hispanics have generally less so in Arizona because it's a Mexican population rather than a Tejano or Cuban population. But I think they're still more persuadable than some of the groups that are turning places like Georgia blue. So I wouldn't write Arizona off just yet. And I think Lake will probably win at the end of the night. You may remember her primary election against the moderate Republican opponent way back in, I think, May or August. She basically had a really late surge because a lot of her voters showed up on election day, and those votes were counted at the very end. So I think she won by like 3-5 that time. So you could see a repeat here once they finally start counting those votes. There's about a third left. So I think she'll win, given that the deficit is so small right now.
If you don't mind, I think American Populist is going to hop on.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, always respect his take.
Yeah, no, I love that guy, and he's going to pitch in for the Zoomers. So love to hear it. Would like to hear a fellow Zoomer put some testimony, put some respect on the Gen Z name. We'll more on that in a minute, but I think let me see if I can find that Robert Barnes thread that you were just talking about.
Oh, it's a thread. It's he put a video out on his locals page, so you have to watch it. I would recommend the audience listen to that on their own time, as well as if they're subscribed to. I believe Scott Greer put out a free IQ supplement, which is pretty substantial too. Those are the two main points two main bits of coverage I was focused on, because I think they always give very heterodox takes for the dissident right.
Yeah, let me share, I think, the link you were talking about.
Yeah. I don't think he's our guy. He's very much an instinctual sort of classic Southern populist.
Right.
But he is very knowledgeable, and I would recommend him on that basis. He's the one who got me to read that book about the white working class that I wrote my most recent Substack article on. So I would recommend his content generally.
Yeah,
if you want to steel man the populist perspective.
I wanted to find that clip where he was talking about that. I don't know how long ago that was.
Probably a while. I posted a lot before I was taken out.
That's all right. I'll this is what I do anyways, so yeah, of course.
But in the meantime, I think we can go over, I think my immediate white pill takes on the night.
Yeah, let's find this one.
Yep. So I think the general white pills is that, there's a straight direct upgrade in Ohio. JD Vance, the teal guy, got in. He's generally defended people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, refused to condemn Fuentes. So that's a white pill. That's a direct upgrade from the sort of lackluster Republican who was in there before. North Carolina is another one where the Republicans have really strengthened their ground game. I've been doing a lot of research into that state's history for upcoming projects on Jesse Helms, and they flipped the state Supreme Court, which was issuing just terrible rulings on voter ID, on gerrymandering. So they managed to take that from the Democrats. They've got, I believe, supermajorities, veto-proof majorities in both chambers of the state legislature, which is going to help them with passing laws and overriding the vetoes of the Democratic governor right now. In Alaska, there's a slight white pill. I'm not sure how the voting system works there completely, but it looks like the more Trumpy candidate there is doing better. And then the centrist she's challenging, who voted to impeach him. Like I said, Lake and her AG will win. Laxalt will win. Walker, TBD. But it looks like it might be, at worst, it'll be 50-50. But there's still a chance that they win the Senate. So generally speaking, Nevada and North Carolina will be pretty safe in the future going forward. And Lake has the potential to do a lot of work in Arizona. On that last point, there will be definitely a civil war within the Republican Party in the future. But I think that judging from the primary results in general, when it's put up to a vote by the voters, they generally always side with the populist side, even if a character like Trump can be blamed by the intelligentsia for the failures of the midterm. So I foresee someone like Rick Scott challenging Mitch McConnell, taking him out, and probably with DeSantis' support, although actually more on that later. But I can foresee a real senatorial majority challenge, and because of the narrow congressional lead, I think Kevin McCarthy will be under a lot of pressure too. So on that macro level, there's going to be house cleaning within the Republican Party. Intellectually, it seems like the popular take is that they want to clean out the Trump elements, but I just don't see that happening, not with his approval rating in the in-party polls, and not with the record of last year. So any house cleaning effort will probably be spun as an attack on the establishment yet again, further radicalization, further Tea Party control. So that's generally a positive sign if you align with them.
I think our next guest, before we bring in Green Glassful, thank you, man. Thank you for the $2 super chat. This election is only a clear black pill. Well, that's something we're trying to reconcile with. And welcome, American Populist. Good to have you back, man.
Good, glad to be back. Thanks for inviting me on, Ace.
Of course. We got 3 Zoomers talking about boomer politics. You love to see it. So we will, one sec here. So American Populist, you wanted to throw your hat in the ring for the Zoomers. I know today's been kind of a rough day. We're trying to clear our name. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I live and work on a university, so I'm surrounded by a lot of black pills, let's say, for my generation, the up and coming one as well. So it's not looking very great for a lot of us. The majority of people my age that I'm seeing are NPCs at most, and at best are cringe normie cons, maybe. Like it was funny though, for the local candidates here where I live in North Carolina, the majority of them were all leftist, far left on the university campus, and there was 2 normie cons. So not exactly the best representation here for any outside political ideas for these people to be exposed to. Also, a lot of them get their news information from like TikTok and Instagram, which is a major problem considering the involvement of the FBI and CIA that we've seen recently with these social media platforms. dictating what news and what information should and should not be suppressed. So not great for the majority of my generation. Although I will say the people who are high IQ like us, extremely white pilled about that. Future elite material there. So that's the white pill and black pill like on the Zoomers that I saw for the midterms.
Right. No, I can definitely relate. Me being in California, I'm also trying to figure out where exactly the Zoomer consensus is because, as you know, our population is different. So, like you said, very working with limited resources, it seems, and whether it's a generational problem or a demographic one, I
Oh, I
think.
will say we're both on university towns, so our demographics are probably similar more than not, just because of that fact alone,
Yeah,
than they
no,
would be normally.
it's tough because I want to go to bat for our guys, but I don't know, man. We are pretty seems like tuned in with some of the stuff that they've been fell victim to at least. So we'll see. We'll see because again, it is a younger demographic, so I don't think anything is set totally yet. And obviously, this just like the DeSantis versus Trump dynamic, there is a lot of struggle happening, and so whatever wins out, that's what we'll. We're still waiting for that process to finish. So I think we'll. It's a little too early to call for a lot of this stuff. So I want to make that clear that we're not really declaring anything as of now. It looks like we're still working with limited information. Let me check in chat if anybody's don't want to neglect any comments, which is not intentional. But thank you, Tuesday FA Tuesday and Vingle, my guys. I love you guys. And alrighty. Did you want to, Garak? Did you want to share the other tweet? I know that you have.
Yeah, the black pills. You can open that up.
Right, and
I'll
with
go over that
discretion.
because there's a lot to be black pilling about. I'm not coping. I'm not. I'm pretty. I think I'm pretty clear pilled that it was a pretty bad showing, but there's a lot to learn from it, and it has to be taken apart. So, like I said, a lot of the black pills were in the Northeast. Pennsylvania completely blue. Michigan, just like I think for the first time in 40 years, the Democrats flipped the state Senate. So they really have been taking a lot of L's there in the Rust Belt. And I think that's extremely bad because basically, the governor impacts who wins the state in the presidential election. This is pretty clear. Trump won Florida in 2016 because there was a Republican governor. He's kept it in 2020 because they continued to clean up their voting systems. Meanwhile, all of the flips in the Midwest in 2018 about basically landed all those Rust Belt states with Democratic governors. And as you remember from 2020, the laws were changed, pandemic, and you won't be able to rectify that, given that those governors have kept their power and in some cases increased their power, like in Michigan, like in Pennsylvania. So I would completely write off Michigan, basically, at this point. And well, Pennsylvania, the demographics are still pretty close. So on those 2 points, I would be very black-pilled. Even in Wisconsin, there was a slight defeat for the Republicans on the local level, not the Senate level, which will be pretty bad too, because you can't change the election laws. The legislature won't be able to do anything. A state that was supposed to be very promising for the right wing, very white, very rural, just didn't turn out that way, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, like you said, it seems like a lot of negativity goes to the process, the electoral process. But like you were saying earlier, am I still sharing screens? There we go. Like you were saying earlier, I mean, do you see this as also kind of we're never really going to get over the hurdle of the way certain people are voting, and so maybe some of the advertising of everybody going out to vote because everybody's under the democracy illusion. Do you think that may be another angle that may be more appropriate than getting stuck on the electoral process and maybe leaving the election integrity to somebody like Wendy Rogers, but for everybody else, maybe focus on the people that you're talking to? What would be your angle with that?
You mean on, I guess, a problem inherent in mass democracy?
Yeah, I guess just the way that people just kind of never talk about or get stuck on the election integrity when really, there's just certain ways people are going to vote, and that's really kind of avoiding the democracy in question, right?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the F word too much because sometimes it acts as a cope. Sometimes it means you don't talk about where you generally went wrong. Talking about election fornication, as Barnes puts it, means that you don't talk about things like the Platinum Plan or Jared Kushner's subversion. And I think that's been one big problem with Trump, is that he spends too much time talking about the 2020 election and not really changing his message, which has been a problem. I think a lot of candidates who ran on the idea of changing election outcomes, like Tim Michaels, who said Republicans would never lose again if he was elected, very, very bad statement. A lot of those people took the L because generally they're not focusing on the 3 I's of, inflation, immigration, and I forget the third one, but
inflation.
yeah, inflation twice. Yeah. It's pretty demoralizing, and I think the Republican Party does need to change its message. Both Trump, but also particularly the mainstream GOP, which has just been absolutely terrible, pulling funding out of places like New Hampshire and Arizona, cutting and running. Kevin McCarthy spending millions of dollars to, destroy people like Joe Kent in House races. Whatever you think of them, you should be spending that money against your enemy and not, purging some of the more exciting people out of your own ranks. So generally,
well,
terrible.
Another problem we saw in this cycle was just like a lot of the candidates, like the messaging just wasn't enthusiastic for the base. Like this is why rural Pennsylvania, rural Wisconsin,
Oh yeah,
I guess rural Michigan didn't turn out because what was the message? It was inflation. I'm just getting the ads that I got here in North Carolina. This isn't a broad synopsis, but talking generally here, the message was basically your standard GOP. The economy was the main thing. And like, okay, that's a great point, but like, you're not talking about the social problems, the immigration, which is a massive problem. Drag queen story hour, you could have mentioned that. It's a huge thing with white working class women. You got to get that vote. There's many things you could do. The school choice issue, that's a big one too. Didn't focus on that. We focused on the economy, which is your standard GOP rhetoric. So that's that gets you there.
Yeah. I mean, rural Pennsylvania, I think even trended blue. I think that's why, beyond any accusations of shenanigans, that's probably why Fetterman won. The polling in the primary missed Western Pennsylvania, which is why Oz was in a tighter race than he expected. And then in the general, they missed Western Pennsylvania as well. Western Pennsylvania, which shifted blue towards Fetterman, while Oz did better in the suburbs, which is probably why everyone was surprised, like, that he lost to this, retard who can't even debate. Yeah, they kind of totally misread the rural base. I agree with you there. It looks like North Carolina's got a decent senator, so we'll monitor the situation.
Yes, so there. Very glad to hear that. Also, we took the state Supreme Court, which is a major W that people
absolutely. It's going to be blood red in the future. North Carolina, Jesse Helms smiling down on us.
Yes,
there's a lot of potential there. That is a white pill if you live there.
Which I do, so I'm very glad about that.
From what I hear, there's a lot of room to grow, and like historically, there's the Republican west of the state and the Democratic east, and there's room to grow in the east. The more if you're really racist, basically you win all the white people in the west and east, and you can win by a lot. I believe that's the strategy from the 80s.
Also, I believe the suburbs here are very different demographics. They're a lot more white, working
class. Oh yeah, that's the thing
Georgia.
About Georgia suburbs.
The Charlotte area is still fairly Republican, still, and like Raleigh to a lesser extent.
The point about Georgia is very good. There's a lot of black flight happening now because Atlanta is such a shithole, and I think that ties into what Ace was saying about Zoomers. Is the Zoomer problem a generational problem or a demographic problem? Again, if you talk about suburbanization, is it a suburban problem or is it a demographic problem within the suburbs? And I think you can just lay that demographic frame over all elections generally, although maybe not some particular ones in the Rust Belt. I would caution.
Would you be one sec here. What would you respond with the critique that on the local level, some of the social issues seem to be so absent, and people maybe more maybe it's the boomer voter or the conservative trend for decades now, the idea that like the cutting funding and taxes is really the get out the vote pitch. Is that something that you can really use in other districts, or is that something that only works in certain cases? Like you said, American Populist, I would love for the pitch for the GOP to go what you were saying, more social issues, kind of the San Francisco approach. But do you think that applies in every district, or what are some what would that be palatable across the board?
Definitely not across the board, because there's there still is a lot of boomer and millennial rhetoric that wouldn't appeal to as much. Although, again, a lot of them are open to this rhetoric. Um, it's more of the white working class, like in Ohio. Even though JD did underperform, he still won that race. But like,
He didn't really
again,
campaign too.
yeah, that's the problem. But like, you have to motivate the red America to come out essentially, because a lot of them are fairly blackballed from 2020. Let's not forget that. That still is a factor amongst some of them as well. And like, talking about inflation in the economy for the 16th millionth time, is it going to motivate people when they see drag queen story hour, communist communist rhetoric in the classrooms at best, which is it's a lot worse now. Demographics, crime, like
Yeah, that's how
those are
Youngkin
big
won.
issues. They're just like not talking about. Most of the ads I got for this cycle were inflation and crime, which is a good one, but like you could do a lot more than that. So I would say just try it a lot more, because again, the old tyrant rhetoric of just talking about the economy, that's not going to work. Like we saw that it didn't motivate people to come out.
I
So
saw
that's my
Christopher Sandbach making a point about that, the fact that the GOP's messaging seemed to focus on the blue and yellow place and taxes. So maybe that's maybe we're in agreement here. I found, well, actually, I should do this because I don't want to neglect. Marshall Forward, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for $4.99 super chat. Appreciate it. And yeah, thanks, Gen Z. It's happening in Arizona. Yeah, we can.
Lake will win. The Attorney General Republican will win. Big question is the Secretary of State and Masters who are running behind them. Masters is probably the least likely to win, unfortunately for my wallet. But you know, he claims he can pull it out, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, that's very strange. I mean, Masters has the teal backing, the Trump backing. So what's the response?
In theory, yeah, but Masters, he really has like, I'll find the graph later, but he really has no money compared to, he's challenging an incumbent, Mark Kelly. Two, Kelly's a pretty good candidate. Because he's an astronaut, he appeals to the boomers. Because his wife was shot, he appeals to the libtards. So, you know, he's appealing to a sort of fake moderate incumbent with a shitload of money, like $100 million to spend on ads. And some of Masters' more base moments have been spun as bad optics moments. So he's got a much tougher race to run than Lake. So he'll be running behind her just on the power of incumbency alone.
Do you think the journalist hit pieces are effective against Masters?
I wouldn't speak with certainty on that. I think people who live in Arizona could give a better impression, but it looks like, generally speaking, the perception of he's perceived to be sort of like an oddball in the public sphere, which is not great, because Lake has got name ID. She's not they're both outsiders, but Lake was already a celebrity, so she's really carried by her last name. People don't think she's an extremist because they remember seeing her on TV being a non-partial reporter. Whereas Masters is an unknown. His enemies are able to define him because they have, like I said, a lot of money. So, and that's why Lake did a lot better than Mastriano, because on paper they're both really crazy, but Mastriano is also like a nobody state senator with no name ID, going up against an opponent with a lot more money. So the money factor really just screwed over Mastriano and Masters. But Lake is able to overcome that because she's a celebrity, and Trump is the same way. People voted for him because they recognize his, he had a lot of name ID,
right?
And people were less inclined to believe the hit pieces. So
also,
you really do need to overcome
about
that.
a kind of blackpilling issue about this election is it really showed us that like the abortion thing really motivates that white suburban women to come out. Like, unfortunately, like that was a big thing I saw. Very motivated, a lot of them. Like, and then I think that's what we're seeing here. A lot of this is because of that, and like there's many issues that go back to that. This is a reason why I don't think women should have the right to vote. Because again, they can't make logical decisions, and like you can't have a political class that can manipulate half the population with this one issue that they think is existential. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these results, is because of that one demographic group can be
I think that
manipulated by
explains
this
Michigan.
one issue.
I mean, there were some pretty crazy propositions on the Michigan ballot that passed overwhelmingly. Two female candidates, the Republican got completely destroyed on the grounds that she had a lot of bad optic statements on abortion, saying that people who are raped would like recover from the rape by befriending the baby or whatever. I mean, like conceptually, as far as how it plays with the base, yeah, that's justifiable. But in a broad electorate, it's just a bad thing to say. So very
Well,
bad.
yeah. Also, we lost like states that we should have lost, like Montana. There's no reason we should have lost that state, but because we have that group, the white suburban group, this is why
Yeah.
this happens.
I
Like,
lost money in Kansas.
yeah, Kansas too, which is just very sad. But again, Kansas is turning away from us, like because of that growth in Johnson County, because again, the demographic shift in the suburbs of Kansas City, which is a big issue.
Speaking of the suburban demographic, I found that Barnes clip, and I won't play it because I think there was some boomer tech on my end. But for those that want to investigate on themselves, one of Barack Obama's bangers, this was something that caught my eye, making an EMJ point. And I think what was that other book? Is it White Flight, Black Flight? Is that the other?
Yeah, that's another book. I need to reread that. But that's the book about sort of early Black pioneers, like the early stages of white flight. That's what I've been studying recently.
Yeah, like you said, Robert Barnes is kind of giving a surface level analysis of like American history in the 20th century. But
yeah,
I mean,
he's a populist, but he's a good populist. He's pretty pro. He's very pro Russia.
Oh yeah, he's on the Durand a couple of times. He's still
yeah. He's not like I wouldn't say, even though he is pro-Israel, he's not like completely owned by NatCon and that sort of like stupid post-liberal. I do see him as more of an independent actor, more of an Alex Jones type of guy.
But yeah, I would encourage people to Twitter search this video, which was a hobby of mine, to find people like Grok and Scott Greer, a lot of their archived classics. I would name search things like that. Of course, Thomas on the original account. Yeah, there you go. And that helped out with the Carlsbad interview, and or not the original Thomas account, but the one afterwards. But yeah, the stuff like this I think is goes a long ways. Kind of goes alongside the Helen Andrews non-Con Inc. associated talking points.
Well, I wrote an article about all of that, so you can find it all in one place.
That's right.
That's also one thing I did want to mention about why DeSantis did so well in Florida is because, before DeSantis got into power, there was this election supervisor in Broward County that some of us might remember called Brenda Snipes, a very infamous person who facilitated a lot of voter F word, we'll say. And he purged those people.
I think Rick
wow, and he hires people who are going to be, less corrupt doing that. And so what do you see? You get safe elections. That's why it also gets counted in one day, less than that. I think almost 80% was in like an hour. In Florida,
Florida counts really quick. They have the best system, and if Carrie Lake wins in Arizona, I can guarantee she's going to copy.
But you have to have that again, there's that famous quote from Stalin: "It doesn't matter who votes; it's matter who counts the votes, who matters." And you got to facilitate that message internally, which most Republicans are too cowardly to do. Again, we know most of them are controlled opposition, but again, some of them are kind of waking up to this power dynamic situation, which is why Ron does very well, even though there's some problems with him as well.
Yeah. I mean, the foundation for Florida's current success, a lot of people sort of like to pin it on DeSantis, but if you look at the state history, Rick Scott was the guy who purged and sort of cleaned up some of the voting rolls after only winning his elections very narrowly. There was a controversy in the 2018 midterms, basically slight Republican win in the Senate and the governorship unexpectedly. And in the post-election battle, they basically kicked Brenda Snipes out. I think, did they arrest her or something? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think she did get arrested.
Arrested and executed DMV Americans on suicide watch. And the next election, the Republican share in Broward County jumps from 20 something to 34, and then this time I checked, it was 41% there, which is incredible. So yeah, Florida really does lead the way in that respect. You can think of what you want about DeSantis, but you should absolutely copy his electioneering model.
No, I think that should be part of our platform going forward. That's going to be a mandatory part of our platform if we're going to be continuing to fight with this.
And I think it's a better way to frame the issue too. Than the problem with Trump is Trump and a lot of the guys around him don't really know how to articulate the sort of complexities of election law. And I think that's an uncharismatic way of presenting the issue. Whereas you look at someone like DeSantis or someone like Lake, they could frame the issue really well. They just say, look, we want to know the winner on the night. We want the election process to be clean and uncontroversial. I think if you frame it that way, you can really get the rule changes you want. Because the thing about Florida is they really did change their rules about absentee ballots. They made the process easier in response to the 2000 election, in response to the confusion there. It was a bipartisan effort. Same thing in Ohio after 2004, by the way, which is why Republicans do so well in those two states now. You basically want to frame it as a bipartisan thing. We just want to increase the efficiency of the vote counting system. And I think that's a very successful appeal.
Also has better laws about collecting ballots from nursing homes and about all this other,
But you do need to enforce them. I think Arizona bans ballot harvesting, but it's not really enforced.
Well, yeah, in one county in particular, Maricopa, we saw that fairly early on.
Yeah,
again,
I think
that's what happens when you don't purge the scum.
yeah. Well, the issue with Maricopa is basically that the Secretary of State now is a Democrat, Katie Hobbs. She's the one who's running against Carrie Lake. And it's quite ironic because in the Georgia election in 2018, Stacey Abrams accused Brian Kemp of cheating because he was the Secretary of State running for governor. Now you have the partisan reverse of that in Arizona. But because Lake's strategy is to vote on election day, so they can't play with that with mail-in ballots, the Hobbs counterattack to that strategy is effectively to just magically have 1 in 5 voting machines breaking down on the day, which I don't think that'll take out Lake. I think her margin is too big, but it could be very bad for Blake Masters, which is a big problem. Yeah, I mean, Maricopa will always have problems because it's such a large county population-wise, but there were even some proposals to break it up, but generally just a poor showing from Arizona.
Yeah, that's interesting because Arizona specifically seems to have that, like Francis, populist right angle with Masters and Kerry Lake and Rogers, Gosar. It just seems like that's really the epicenter.
It's interesting because historically, obviously, you have the McCain angle. Prudentialist recommended Razorfist's take on it. I can second that. You basically have the old guard McCain people, but then there's always been a current of like really far right politics in Arizona, proximity to the border, Joe Arpaio, Paul Gosar, people like Carrie Lake who've been radicalized by their time there. So there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the Old West as far as the future of the American right. And as a narrative, it's interesting too, because obviously the conventional narrative is Trump insulted McCain, and that's why he quote unquote lost in 2020. But then, of course, if you can have populists winning in Arizona, cleaning out the elections, it really does dispel that narrative. And I think that's going to be what's important going forward. I have to go really soon. But the thing to take away is that the elections were a mixed bag, but any monocausal explanation, particularly blaming it on Trump, which is what neocon rags like the New York Post are going to do, they really don't suffice for the incredibly confusing election. And if you do buy into blaming Trump, if you do buy into, dooming, you're really just doing the enemy's work for them. That's all I have to say. In that respect.
It's not just them; it's also these DeSantis simps who are now becoming
absolutely
a louder minority. And again, I'm from Florida, so I would be biased towards them, but like I recognize that there's some problems when the establishment figures are supporting them. They don't take these things into account. They're very short-sighted in their approach.
There's no Greg Abbott simps, and Texas also massively trended red. So because of the same reasons of Arizona, bad Democratic candidate, good voting laws, unique Hispanic populations moving to the right. Texas is basically the exact same as Florida, but there's no simping for Greg Abbott. Why? They do the same things. They both do the migrant flights. On paper, they're incredibly similar, but they're not going to vote for a cripple to be the president. So at least that's my perspective on the situation.
Yeah, no, speaking of the DeSantis crew, I'd like to share this on screen, if I may. Hey, well, hold on. First of all, this guy's, it's a long way coming. Captain Steele, thank you for the $4.99. I'm happy to report I did watch some of that. Thank you. It took longer than it should have. I am sorry. But yes, thank you. Thank you for recommending. Yeah, that first show. I dig it, man. Some of the bluesy stuff. A bit off topic, but yes, thank you. This guy's been been trying to get me to check that out. And I didn't finish the whole thing, but I did finally come to my senses. So thank you, Captain Steele. We finally got him. And then Marshall Forward, thank you for $1.99. I appreciate you. Oh, right. No, yes. Speaking of Marshall Forward, I was just about to pull that up. If I can share screens here. And I'm sure maybe Grok may have seen this too, but this was a picture that was going around, and just seeing some of the familiar characters with some of the usual people we see around.
That's a great video. I would recommend. Wendell does a good breakdown there. I watched that last night.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously Josh Hammer, and who seems to be all kinds of involvement, whether it's Newsweek or what is it, Spectator, I think is another one. Benny Johnson from Turning Point, of course. Du Bois, Dave Rubin, of course, people know.
Do they have
And
Cernovich?
I see. I didn't see.
Because Cernovich is a big he's a big DeSantis.
Oh, here there might be a. This is another photo with some of the same characters: Josh Hammer,
Yeah.
Johnson, Rubin, Du Bois. Is it Du Bois? I forget the.
I thought it was Jeremy Boring for a second.
Reboy,
No,
the one who
no.
looks like Gandhi.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe symbolic. Maybe there's some overlap there. Who knows? I know Razorfist said something about Gandhi.
Razorfist has been very pro-Trump to his credit.
Yeah.
In fact, most of my Florida contacts are people who got pissed off at him for that.
No, it's yeah, no, that's the thing. It's the battle lines are being drawn, and oops, not that one. Battle lines being drawn, and you know, the people are going to have at it, and whoever's more Machiavellian enough.
It might be polemically useful if.
Although I will say the one white pill that I have heard about demographics is that with Georgia getting more black, with black people moving into the Atlanta area, South Carolina's black population is decreasing. That is a trend I did notice. So if you live in South Carolina,
it's pretty safe red. I just can't wait for the black
although that doesn't matter,
Senate delegation to decrease.
They elect retards in South Carolina. So
oh yeah, on paper it's the best Carolina. It's the most right wing. They produce Calhoun. I was going to say Tillman, but let's not. On paper they've got an illustrious history. I know Sandmatch is a big fan of the Palmetto State. Is it?
Yeah, Palmetto State.
Yeah, thank you for vindicating me. I love my crumbs of approval.
Can't forget about Andrew Jackson too. He's from the border area, but he's going to.
I don't know. He's too nationalist for them. But
I
don't know. Aside from that tangent, yeah, South Carolina will probably be fine. But I think Georgia does need to be saved, and that's my problem. I think Kemp won by a lot, but will Kemp do enough to secure the bag in 2024? Will he help Trump along? He didn't last time. A lot of people like him because he's a very conservative governor, and he's got much better optics than Herschel Walker. Much like Youngkin, he's able to appeal to the Trump and the anti-Trump people. But my concern is that he might not do enough. At the end of the day, much like in Arizona, the Georgia GOP just hasn't really done enough to stop that demographic shift, and it's just the state has just fallen away from under them. It's quite tragic. It's a gone with the wind situation. But that's my main concern for Georgia. You'd probably have more knowledge on that, being from the South.
Well, yeah, it's also quite bad because they welcome the film industry in Atlanta area, kind of boost that population, and then all these people from the north are now moving to the Atlanta suburbs. The Atlanta suburbs are some of the most popular here, along with like Charlotte and Raleigh.
Oh yeah, extremely gay too. There's high HIV rates and whatnot.
Yeah, of course. Well, I forgot to tell the story. I went to downtown Atlanta, and like this black taxi driver is like, "Yeah, you don't want to be out here at night because they might chop your head off." Is this Somalia or something? I thought this was supposed to be a first world country. But that's just what's going on in Atlanta. So lots of black pills in Atlanta. Don't have very positive things to say about
that. I was going to ask something before I forget. Stephen David asking about Devin Sachs, black pilled. I remember that channel. I don't know if that was in reference to anything specific. I remember. I was going to ask if since one of the takes, I think it was from Greer, talking about how some of the migration, domestic migration, not foreign, domestic, was seemed to help in the polls or in the voting rather. And now American Populace, I think that would go against what you were saying, but I don't know. A lot of people said that people from California, red voters moving to Texas and Florida, that was kind of detrimental to the local culture. But it seems like Greer was defending it. I don't know if that's appropriate or if I'm missing some details here.
I'm going to say it depends on where from California, and also where they're moving, because a lot of people who move to the Atlanta suburbs are fairly liberal, to moderate at best, but fairly liberal from my experience. It's very like I guess, upper to lower middle class area. So it's the perfect like shit lid breeding ground area, essentially, which is why it's so liberal moving to the left. Um, Also, the third world migrants help with that, but like the local shift doesn't help either with these traditionally kind of liberal areas moving there. So I'm gonna disagree
Here,
with him on that.
here, 1 sec, Garak. I want you to have your final word here. I know you shared the final white pill here. If you want that to be your last
Yeah, I really
word.
got to run. But for one, though I'd love to talk about Dixie politics all day. The final white pill I would say is if you look at the 2024 Senate map, it is completely shit for Democrats. If you could just enlarge that image.
Oh yes.
So
yes.
even worst case scenario, if Democrats get 51 Senate seats, they pick up Pennsylvania, GOP loses everything else. Most likely right now is 50-50. But even if they're able to pull shenanigans, if you look at that map, Democrats have no pickup opportunities in 2024. It will be a presidential year. Republicans get an automatic pickup in Nevada, Montana, and West Virginia. That's 3. That takes them back to a majority from the defeat yesterday. So in the long term, just like by pure mathematics alone, you should be white pilled. You should be white pilled for, Trump's movement or whatever comes next, because just mathematically speaking, the Dems really had to do well this time. They really had to fortify this time because they're screwed on the next. Just mathematically, if you look at that map. So that would probably be my final white pill.
All righty. Well, hey, Garak, thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure. I want to shill finally one last opportunity. For those that don't know, his Substack has been on my mind for days now, probably weeks, and yeah, some very insightful stuff. He's doing what I want to do better than me, so I am very very
You're too kind.
jealous. And you're on top of it. You got the skills, my man. And of course,
Midterm article probably coming soon.
oh yeah, no, I can't
we
wait.
covered a lot. We covered a lot of ground today. I'm happy about that. Anyway, I really have to run. But
Yes, go for it. Don't let me keep you.
All right, yeah, stay white pilled.
Yes, thank you so much, man. All righty. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, American Populist. If you wanted to, you had some more to say, but I wanted to give our guests some appropriate time. I know it was a bit of a time crunch, and now here we go. We got the.
Oh, the one thing I was just going to add about the state migration, like to the people who say, well, it's great for benefits for Republicans. Okay, well, again, we want to preserve our state cultures here. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a great idea. Because again, you see this with Idaho too, because Idaho is getting a lot of population. You start to see some subversion being brought in there. So like, it's not that it's all of them, but like, it's enough of them moving into the liberal areas, and they vote in people who they're traditionally used to voting. So the traditional white suburban women tend to lean left. These weak men also follow them, vote Dem, brings in the subversion, then they start changing laws, and then it becomes more fortified, and then it becomes safe Dem before you know it. And so I'm thinking long term here, like, so you gotta be careful with these things. That's just what I would add. Because although we hold Florida, like, do not underestimate our enemy's will to quickly take that over as soon as they're given the opportunity to start changing those laws back to the pre-2018 state, because they will as soon as they get their hands on the seat of power there.
No, it's here. I wanted to clarify something that thanks to Karak, I know that Greer's perspective is more from a identitarian view and not a state regional view. So maybe that clears up some of the description there. But
well, we also things like that we're going to invade Germany again if they start buying gas to Russia, which is just a bad take. So kind of misses with some of these takes here. Which, I mean, if you just look at Germany, that's just like literally impossible, considering that Germany is destroying itself. So I really don't see how it's possible at
all. I'll check if anybody if I missed. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Imminent Rain. One governor of Idaho. 1 sec. But thank you, Imminent Rain. And thank you to Garak for the map and setting this thing up.
Gotta say though, I am surprised about Nevada. My prediction was actually Nevada stays blue, so I'm kind of surprised. But again, we still gotta wait. Las Vegas isn't fully in yet, so. But although you've been there before, so what do you think? Do you think the energy is on our side in Las Vegas?
In Nevada, it's interesting. I know that Grok is more plugged in than me, but I don't know, man. Maybe I'm biased. I just it's hard to imagine there's a lot of right-leaning types in that area. But again, I'm not an authority.
Although I know a lot of Californians are moving there, so those tend to be the conservative ones. Some of the more business types moving there. So we'll see. That is trending our direction anyway.
Here, let me all right. Sorry about the delay there. Imminent rain. Yo, shout out to Frankie. I love this guy. This is my man. Let's go. Yo, the fellas are stopping by, having a smoothie at the Double R Diner. Appreciate everybody getting cozy. Hey, man, somebody in chat is responsible for encouraging me to get the show back up and running. So we're shining off the engine and we're going for a little drive here, a little night drive. So very much appreciate the enthusiasm in chat. And let's go, Brandon. Yeah. What more could be said? Here you go, Imminent Rain. Locked and loaded. But it looks like Brad Little is taking the reins in Idaho. So make of that what you will. Isn't Brad Little the director?
Oh, I thought he was the guy who was like still enforcing the lockdowns, and it was his lieutenant governor who was like the one we wanted.
I'm thinking of something unrelated. I know this is man, what is it Chicken Little? Now I'm just completely distracted. Now it's like
I'm not sure what you're referring to there.
Is it Brad Bird? Is that what I'm? Hold on, one second.
Brad Raffensperger? Maybe.
Wait a second. It's got to be Bird. Yeah, it's Brad Bird. Yeah, the Incredibles director. All right, sorry about that. I had to clarify. Of course, it is not a political stream without some tangents. So just wanted to clear my head there. But anyways, yeah, if only the governorship in Idaho had such an opportunity. But thank you, Imminent Rain. And yeah, shout out bass guitarist, of course. Love the guy, shredding in the studio. Thank you, Captain Steele. Yeah, we need Captain Steele holding the host accountable for not listening to enough Zeppelin. My apologies, but we were that's my bad. Yeah, maybe you're right, Frankie. Maybe you're right. We shall see. Yo, do we have a Russian in chat? Russians tuning in, trying to tap into the American market. Understandable. Oh, Little is a rhino. Okay. Thank you, Imminent Rain. The last stream with Nigel banged hard. Real nostalgia for the last stream. Yeah, no. Carlsbad, very prominent figure. Very.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Glad you got him on. He's a very interesting guy. He's got some good takes.
Yeah. No, I was talking to somebody on campus, and they were saying they know who Carlsbad is, but in one of his interviews, his concepts are all over the place. And so yeah, it's hard to keep up. I mean, the guy's he's kind of got Thomas tier knowledge there, so it is a bit overwhelming, I must admit. Way down deep inside. So true. I'm thinking it's true. Gotta start including quiet jazz. Yeah, I've been listen, maybe I gotta walk back a statement. I've been pretty critical of jazz as far as a cultural thing, kind of like the Weimar Germany thing, cabaret culture. Yes, it is decadent, but since there was some, Henry Ford takes talking about how in American culture that may be responsible for the decline, I think that may be competing against some of my early rock and roll, and so I don't know. Maybe I got to defend jazz as an American patriot. I think jazz is here to stay for the culture. So even if I said some disparaging words in the past, I may have to walk that back. And okay, yeah, we're gang jazz. Maybe that's the arc. Maybe we're cozying up to Sinatra and Dean Martin. Maybe the Rat Pack is hey, maybe not so bad after all. Who knows? Who knows?
I know the Mississippi Delta here that's where that origin originated
Ah,
from.
there you go. There you go.
Memphis kind of area, also New Orleans. That's
The South, man, the South. I know we like to city post and have this little rivalry, but look, I can never hate the South. Even if it's not my thing, it's not my crowd scene. That is where a lot of my stuff seem to come from. So listen, I got love in my heart for the Southerners, okay? I got love in my heart for the Southern Belles and a manner of other things. So no
there's many
hate
things
on
to
this
love.
side.
There's many things to like about us. Our great fast food, Chick-fil-A. We can't forget about Bojangles.
Hey man, hey man.
Come
Yes.
here. Of course, the great music. Also, some of the best cities in the country. I think architecturally, New Orleans, Charleston. Uh, there's a couple other ones. Others not so great. Guess New Orleans too. I'm sure Mr. Sandbatch, if he was on here, would chill for his own city.
Mm.
Hello, not
I
he.
understand the loyalty. It makes sense. My friend from Georgia was hyping me up on the Bojangles hype. So
No, it's very good, honestly. If you got
all
if
right,
you
all
have it
right.
there, you gotta try it. Very good. Highly recommend it.
Zaxby's. I think that's another one he listed. I'm not sure where the rivalry is going to be there, but
I think he's from Missouri, so he's not even a Southerner. So I don't even know what you're talking about, man. You're not even in this conversation. So
Frankie
opinion
is
discounted.
Frankie is calling my loyalty into question. I find this very provocative. Bit of a Rasputin character in the chat there. Listen. I defended our state. I went to bat for California. I'm on the John Miller stance where even if a city like L.A. has definitely changed, I think there is still reputable stuff associated with California. So I do think some of the nationalism with the California is still appropriate even in this 21st century era. So, we can't forget Rodney Bingenheimer. We cannot forget Sunset Strip. Okay, this is our identity. Okay, a lot of our stuff came from there. So, I don't want to hop on a bandwagon and say that it's a foregone conclusion that it's over. It's never over. We're just thinking in 100-year terms. So, we'll see what happens to California. Maybe some of the Zoomers will change their tune. Maybe they're a part of that whole arc. So, not going to be too black-pilled about that, okay? I don't want to hear the California slander, maybe demographic-wise. But listen, man, this is my place. This is my home, all right? And even if the Central Valley has its problems, listen, I got to share some of that Southern loyalty that they have for their flyover states. We got our own little shindig over here.
Although I will say from our stream about California, Southern California is honorarily a part of the South. I will say
Hey,
some of the
man,
early settlers, it was Southern for a long time, part of its early
this
history. Go check that out if you're interested in that.
That's right. I want to find because yeah, you and me went over it, some of the details, and hey, look, Southern California Alliance, more like that. It's not a brotherhood. It is family. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not a friend. It's part of the identity, full swing. I'd like to find that video on your
That's so
channel.
true. LA is a southern city. Many people don't realize this, but it is a southern city. It was for a lot of its early history until the mass immigration came in from the north. Surprise, surprise. But LA is still and always will be a southern city. It was for its early history, a lot of part of it. After
Yeah,
we took it from the Spanish.
I'm thinking we're waving the Confederate flag for to show some California identity. Maybe
Hey, a
that.
lot of them were waving the flag when the South seceded, so I'm just going to say that LA was proudly supporting that. some really based history there, so we can't give up entirely on that concept.
Yeah, hey, I think we're doubling down with Captain Steel, man. This guy's opening me up to British culture, and he's also defending the Golden State. The guy just cannot do any wrong, it seems. So thank you, Captain Steel, for keeping the lights on for this episode. My goodness. But is an absolute X. Geography is excellent, but she's interesting. That may help. The way. Well, I mean that's a bit of a tangent. I think the fact that we have the Valley Girl archetype, which was born here, and also the hippies. I mean, for better or for worse, it may be more easier to understand some of the political ramifications by looking at this as a woman. So, hey, thank you, Stephen David. Been doing great
Well, the
stuff in chat.
personification of California is a woman. Like even before like California was named, like I talked about this, the name California comes from Caliph. No, sorry, or whatever that the legend, the story of the Spanish. So I mean, like, and that was the embodiment of a woman. So like, there's something to it.
Right. No, that's something to consider. Something to maybe that's some of the stubbornness that we're seeing in the States. Some of the priorities may be out of whack because we're trying to reason with a certain archetype. And so, hey, it may take kicking and screaming to reason with, but I think there's a lot of stuff people like archetype-wise.
Although I will say the problem with California's her water supply is badly mismanaged due to incompetency at the Sacramento and the federal government incompetently managing water. So. Which again, it shouldn't exist. Obviously, California should have plenty of water, but of course, we can't manage our water at all. They have to give it all to the and people steal the farmers in the Central Valley, and then it lowers the land, and we lose the lakes because California used to have like the third largest lake, I think, or something, in the U.S., but it was destroyed to make cotton fields. So. Interesting history with the Central Valley and farming, if you guys are interested about why the water is the way it is now.
Yeah, here it is. All right, I'll link this in chat. Old times. Thank you.
I have never had In-N-Out, so I have to take people's word for it. It's really good.
Yeah. I think the fries are overrated. Maybe that's contrarian, but I just don't get it. Maybe people in chat can help me out. I just don't get it. It's all right, but not so sure. Not so not sold. But hey, George Puente, am I saying that right? Because when I'm thinking about you in my mind, I want to get the details correct. I don't want the alias to get in the way of things. Fries.
I don't know. I think Chick-fil-A is some of the best fries, but I mean that's just because of bias. I'm gonna have to go with the waffle fries here.
Brandon just not understanding the polemic rhetorical argument that I'm putting down here. So listen, I understand people are loyal out of regional loyalty, but listen, people just gotta be honest with themselves. I don't think people are lining up at In-N-Out at odd hours for the fries. I think that that's a little too controversial. And really, it's like when you try to squeeze something to try and get every bit of enjoyment. If you have to put so much effort, maybe it's not worth it to begin with. So I'm sorry. We're declaring war against those fries. It's not good. I would rather go to Burger King, straight up. Would rather go to Burger King and get the Dave single with those, weirder fries. But it's different. Maybe it's the salt. I don't know what it is, but listen, I'm sorry. The In-N-Out enjoyers are just going to have to take an L on the fries. They don't have the full package. They got a little bit. They got the burger. They got pride in that. But if you're talking about a full package, it's a bit out of whack. It's okay. See, Brett. Oh no. See, now it's getting personal. See, now, wait a second. Wait a second. Like I said in the treehouse, okay, nobody was complaining that Little Caesars was there, so I don't want to hear any blowback from people who were literally eating the exact same box. I mean, this is just totally treacherous, treasonous behavior to go against Little Caesar. I put that out on Twitter, and I didn't see too many downvotes. So, listen, Little Caesar, American populace, you're not going to disparage the Roman outlet, are you?
I'm not gonna lie. The last time I had Little Caesars was when Kmart was still open. If you remember that.
Really,
So I really
really.
don't have an updated opinion on Little Caesars. Really can't say much there. Jury's still out for me on the Caesar question.
Yeah, dude, it's literally called Caesar. Like, I don't know how anybody could try and talk themselves out of liking it, you know. Pizza is not very complicated. This New York style that everybody's hyping up, totally fraudulent.
Overrated. So
Yeah,
overrated,
dude,
honestly.
let's go. Let's go. People just don't understand. They think because it's their thing, there must be something defensible with it. And that's not pizza. That's not authentic pizza. I'm sorry. But
No, these guys have never had real Italian pizza in their
dude,
lives.
that's the thing, man. I understand the Italian love. I understand the people now. I said things, okay? I said them, I admit, but my problem with the Italian people is not the the dining choices, some of the cultural stuff. It's more of a preference thing. It's nothing really that antagonistic. But when you got these people in chat, these Rasputins on the loose, I mean, these people ought to be thrown in jail for saying such bad food takes. I don't understand what the problem is. And okay, see, okay, now we're getting somewhere with some bipartisanship. You're right. You're right. Me and Ed's uncontested winner in that battle in the Roman Colosseum. So I appreciate it. If only we had Thomas on here to throw Chicago into
No,
the
I
equation.
wish we could have the great pizza debate, honestly. We really need to have that between Chicago and New York. I'm going to set this up, okay? I'm going to get the New York and Chicago. We're going to have the
Mm,
great pizza debate on my channel. We're going to have this. We're going to settle this question once and for all, guys. It's going to happen eventually.
that's the thing, and it's on different corners of the nation, so it really reveals character traits to get to the bottom of that. So it's not purely a hobby thing. There are, I think, some political dimensions to it that a lot of people ignore. So revisionism, elitism, it's got to apply to the food world. I know Academic Agent gets some flack for kind of mouthing off in those ways, but listen, I think he was dropping some insight talking about some of the British chains that I'm not even aware of. So I understand when he went to the US, he was a little weirded out by Hard Rock Cafe. Mr. D was calling out Red Robins, which honestly, that's a little uncalled for. Okay, I was just at dinner the other night. Someone was disparaging Red Robins. Again, where does all this animosity come from? Are there some unresolved issues? What's going on in the minds of these Zoomers that they're just going to throw Red Robins under the bus? I mean, my goodness, we're talking about going back to my community college days. Okay, that was my healing food. So really don't appreciate all these people shoving their knives into my back over something that should be our regional identity. So
Oh, I really don't know. I've really canceled the Red Robin question. I really did
I
grow up with Red Robin a
that's
lot.
that's national, right? I have
I
Hans
grew
Herman
up.
Hoppe and Bojangles in my in my tabs here, so we're really covering all
Oh,
the
that's true,
bases.
Paul W. Hall. We can't forget about St. Louis style pizza. I'm gonna have to get you on the great pizza debate too. We're gonna
Mm.
settle this question once and for all.
Can I get Red Robins anywhere in America? Let me see. Yeah, forget the midterm map. I need the red. I need the food chain map of every Red Robins in the United States. Here we go. I think they have it on their website. Okay, United States. It's in Canada. I'm thinking we're back. Oh, dude, it's everywhere. Dude, it's nationwide. Nationwide USA. ZZ Top moment. Oh, we're so back. Yeah, see, the childhood memory. That memory's not nothing, okay? It had a emotional impact. What do you think that means? You think that's nothing?
I remember we had Blockbusters. I still remember that. I miss Blockbuster. Those were the days, man. I really miss that. That was quite an experience. I'm glad I got to grow up with it, though. A lot of people don't. They didn't experience the great Blockbuster. It was like.
But what about boomers? Do you remember that? Hold on a sec. Don't tell me this was regional. People in chat, help me out. Is It looks like this is just a California thing.
I've never heard of that before.
Did I just dox myself? Wait a second here. Did I see Jersey? Okay, we got California, Florida, and New Jersey. All right. Anyways. Put on some light jazz. All right. Let me see what we got in the tank. I was talking about boomers, Frankie. Let me see if we can who's got the ox? Let me is it in brand? All right. Oh man, it's looking like rock and dance pop, acoustic. I'm not seeing the jazz. Maybe hold on, night driving. Or how about lo-fi? Daydreaming. I think night driving may be feeding the ducks. No. All right. I'm trying to make things comfortable for our guests. So. There we go.
I'm curious, did you grow up with Blockbuster? Did you experience great Blockbuster nationalism when it was around? Did you experience it?
I don't think I did.
Oh, you missed out, man. You really missed out.
I know. It's maybe we can give that one to the millennials and maybe some of the late Zoomers. I mean, there are benefits to it. So yeah, that's like the tape trading scene. That's like something authentic and local that the Zoomers were deprived of. Very unfortunate. Captain Steel, thank you, man. Thank you for $1.99 super chat. Hollywood Video, okay, that sounds more familiar. Maybe that was a local thing. Put the Drive soundtrack. Well, this is kind of a similar vibe. Tesco's? Maybe. Let me see here. Let me see if I missed anything. You need to give more fries, Captain Steel? I don't remember if there was a shortage.
I know Five Guys gives you a lot of fries, but they're kind of expensive. But
yeah,
really
somebody
cool.
was asking. Someone was asking about Five Guys. Yep, that's someone was asking about the take. I think it is overpriced, but I don't know if it's worth it, but definitely a good burger. I remember me and Brandon went over there. So good times, man. Good times, cozy times.
Although I will say, if you have a Sonic, you gotta support your local Sonic. You gotta support our institution. Sonic's on our side.
All right,
Christian company, not cucks like Chick-fil-A is. Even though I like Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A is cucked. Sonic is based. They're based out of Oklahoma City. Solid our territory. They're true American patriots. You gotta support Sonic when you can. They got great slushies too. Some of the best you'll get.
All right.
So, best cherry slushy ever, honestly. I won't hear otherwise.
Peanut oil at Five Guys, is this subversive? Is that true, Ryan?
Unfortunately, it is true. They use the seed oils, which is just very degenerate,
wait
honestly.
A second, man. Oh, no. Now I'm black-pilled. This election coverage did not make me black-pilled. Now that's devastating. Oh, dude, what the heck? What the freaking heck? Brandon, totally unnecessary. Thank you for the $10. Here's some money for the Little Caesars on Saturday. Yeah, maybe we'll break out some books. Maybe we'll break out some other items, miscellaneous items. We'll see. Thank you. I appreciate it. My guy, giving us the. Now this is funding. Now this is how you fund and support patriots in America.
So true. You gotta support your patriots, guys. Donate more to PACE.
True.
Donate.
That donation means more than a Peter Thiel paycheck, so I appreciate it. Brandon is the big money wagey for the channel. He is the donor. He's literally the donor. So I appreciate it.
Well, I'm not there yet to have a donor, but I'm sure it's an interesting experience to have.
The cabal of international donors helping out different candidates. For any more details, I refer you back to that video that Grok was hyping up. We were watching that on campus of all places. I think that's some insightful stuff. All right.
Although I will say your lectures at college are very good, honestly. Some of the best, like better than most college presentations, honestly, by a long shot. Very good, man. Very good.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's.
I'm sure they're red pilling quite a lot of people.
It's a circumstantial thing. I wouldn't recommend everybody go to their class and try and red pill people, but it's a tight knit group of people that are very trustworthy. And so yeah, I just wanted to some Zoomers gotta see content in real life space, and so I just, since we had that opportunity, hopefully people are enjoying that. But this music, Frankie, is the music not? Are we not vibing with our guests here? We can switch gears. Let me see. This is a little. I don't know. This is a little goofy. I don't know if this fits the vibe.
It's not really catching my vibe.
All right.
A bit too upbeat. Oh.
Yeah, American Populist is the final call. This is from the StreamYard brand. Oh, we're back. Okay, hold on. Let me adjust the volume. Alright. This is background music. Whoops. Not too low. Not that lo-fi. Just take the copy. It is tempting. I will get copyrighted if I play that one, so that's unfortunate. But hey, man, we gotta get the let out at 7 locally, so that is reassuring. Do the little karaoke in the car. Stay in the car for a bit too long before going inside. Maybe some people can relate to that. Sometimes I just need to decompress. I don't know what it is.
I'm curious though, man. How was the midterms for you? I was going to college that day. Was it extremely cringe?
Frankly, we're just trying not to think about it too hard. Frankly, we are.
Yeah, not very great experience.
You want to talk about black pills? No. This was the. I'm being demographically replaced on Canvas.com. I'm being demographically displaced by professors on campus. My sanity is being replaced by stress. But we'll see. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic. We'll have to check what the grade is. Can you play the cozy light? I don't know if I can do that. Because that's Nick's outlet. I mean, Nick's not going to sue me as far as I know. Maybe if I go too hard on the Italians, then he'll maybe go after me. I understand. That's a little nasty to do that anyways. Yo, Farouk shouted you out a bit back. That's how I found you. Oh, are you serious? Steven, did you find him on Instagram, or was it in a comment section? Or, excuse me, you're sounding like a boomer. In a chat or something? Because, yeah, man, I love that guy. I check his stories pretty frequently.
Oh, yeah, he's got a good Twitter. I recommend you follow it. Really good stuff there.
Man, am I even... Oh, whoops. Did I just... There we go. But yeah, no, our guys seem to be all over the place. Hey, no, that's yeah. Brandon is quoting some personal testimony. This is why people gotta be on Instagram. There's some cool Zoomers on there. I'd be happy to find out if people are still holding out on Instagram. You know, some people bailed out of Twitter. That's all right. I understand. But hey, there's still some cool people on there. So I wouldn't advise people to to check out too early. Captain Steel. The Tequila's Last Stand isn't your favorites. You're subversive. I understand. Listen, like I said, I may have went over this earlier. I'm pretty weird when it comes to my favorite Zeppelin songs. A lot of them are very mellow. They're not very hard rocking. You would expect Communication Breakdown to be my favorite. But actually, it's a lot of the ballads. Since I've Been Loving You from 3, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You from the debut. Those are my favorite songs, to tell you the truth. And some of the best solos, in my opinion. But you know, I like Dazed and Confused. I like...
Oh, we got John Geo in the chat.
Yo, what? Yo, what?
Big shout out, John
Is
Geo
that
in the
Gio
chat.
Benegetti? Dude. Now we're back, okay? Now, I think we're doing some futurist psychoanalytics.
I do him on my channel, actually. I have an interview with Mr. Geo.
10 Years Gone. Yes, 10 Years Gone is up there. I used that on a high school project in a movie making class back in high school. I don't remember how I did, but that was a pretty white pilling moment. Yo, we're so back. Hey, Geo, let's go, big guy. Hey, my cookie respecter, okay? There's a war going on in the dissident right. People think that soft cookies are for women. They think that this is like weak men enjoy soft, non-crunchy cookies. But listen, man, that's like the best type of cookie. Are you kidding me? That's from my childhood. American Populist. Do you agree with that? The hard cookie versus soft cookie.
Oh, I'm totally on the soft cookie side of this debate, 100%.
Dude, let's go, dude. Again, semiagog. There's some people posting their L. Semiagog doesn't is on the hard cookie side. I think Charlemagne was good. Who else? Who else was really?
Has Brew given his take on this? Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him actually. What is his take on this question?
Dude, we are so back, dude. I'm telling you. Real true-blooded Americans, or you're Canadian, but honorary American.
He's close enough to New York. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Look, listen. Toronto, New York. What's the difference, man? All right. Soft and chewy is pure tuna. That's what I'm saying. It's dripping. Okay. It is making a mess on your mouth. Okay. That's what we want. Talking about cookies. So that's the thing. A lot of people think you got to be this. You know, Jello Biafra wrote a song about this. It's called Macho Insecurity. And these people think that they're tough guys because they eat hard cookies. It reminds them of the dumbbell or some noise. Look, man, you gotta release Nietzsche's second personality. You gotta have the idealistic, soft side of your identity. And you're not gonna get that with these hard Chips Ahoy things, all right? You're not gonna get that with them, who support homosexuality, by the way.
That's why you're eating a gay cookie.
Yeah, dude. Like, unbelievable that people are not woken up to this. When you were a kid, you ate hard cookies? Are you poor? Are you living below the poverty line? Listen, man, food gets hard when it's bad, when it's subversive. So the soft cookie, the soft red vine straight out of the package, that is pure. It's curing a lot of the subversion, a lot of the seed oil stuff. And so the harder your thing gets, and that goes for a lot of things. The harder it gets, it's putting your mind in a bad place. So that's the take, okay? I don't know how anyone could think otherwise. Snickerdoodle. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Now the chat's, yeah, go for it. All right, yeah. Listen, we got to get a little more honest about some of the people in the distant right, they're still not getting it. Okay.
No, we have to call it the subversion where it is, guys. Like, we have to keep the purity going, you know?
It's like
That's
it's like
we're
what
doing best.
I think it was P.K. Nunez from like a year or so ago. He was talking about how libertarians can't even come to terms with their own beliefs because they are so captured by the left's framework. And so, before you even call yourself dissident right, why don't you think back to some childhood memories and think about the cookies you were eating, think about the TV shows you were watching. And if you're not passing that test, if these millennials are trying to take what is rightfully ours, then I don't know if you're really a reactionary. I don't know if you're reading De Maistra. I think you're still stuck on that Frank Meyer fusionism or something. You're stuck in a time capsule from the past, and you're trying to get everybody to eat your hard cookie. We don't want it, okay?
No, are you a black or something? Like, why are you eating hard, stale food? There's a reason that's like, that's what lasts longer on the shelf. It's cheaper too, you know. Hey, there's a reason
guys,
that.
Nibbas be going into the pantry, 3 weeks old food, and be like, "This is dinner. This is a midnight snack." People be finding stuff on the floor and and be like, "Boy, oh boy, this is mine." Now this is good. Now this is hot stuff. Now this is not your grandparents' dissident right. Zoomers are taking the reins on everything. Considered playing guitar. Now I have considered that. It might be a little embarrassing though. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Give me a month to. Or maybe Frankie can help me run to off. You're gonna have to teach me some scales, and then I can become who I am. All right, maybe then that'll be more appropriate. But
fun fact: some new lore that I haven't revealed yet. I actually practiced drums for like almost a month, actually.
Yo,
learning how to play drums. That was interesting. I should get back into that. Kind of liked it. The music notes.
Yeah, John Doyle is from that same arc. So nice. Maybe I tried to do it once. It was embarrassing.
No, it's a skill. You gotta play the notes. You know, there's a lot of
multitask. Great book already. Geo.
We're gonna have to purge you then, Paul. You're a subversive from the movement. Unfortunately, you are no longer allowed in this chat. Unfortunately, man. For a cringe take.
You have to give. Interesting. No, it's. I don't know, man. It's very, very telling. Aaron, any big news for next week? Yeah, I guess we could announce that here on the show, since we got a nice cozy audience, post midterm coverage. This is like a diner. You got some seductive, voluptuous waitresses giving you some I don't even know what, I guess dessert, since we're talking about cookies. Getting a little distracted with this analogy, but it's low key. It's a casual night. We're behind the hotel main desk, and we're just trying to get time to pass by. So I'd like to announce, if you guys want to, speaking of speeches on campus, there's going to be a speaker that I think we talked about in the past on this channel. Kai Schwimmer, better known as Kai Clips, will be speaking on the West Coast. So stay tuned for that. We'll probably get a link out over on Telegram, maybe on Twitter. But I want to support one of the good Mormons who's out there fighting the good fight. So again, Zoomer Corral, Zoomer Army is getting out there. So just want to keep people optimistic. It seems like college tours don't happen anymore. The Milos, the Shapiros, the Battle of Berkeley's. It seems like it's a bygone era. The Zoomers may have an opportunity to get some content. Maybe not that specifically, but Zoomers out in public space, just being themselves and not ruining their lives while they do it. So again, smart Zoomers, understanding politics, thinking outside the boomer truth regime. So anyways, Yeah, there we go. There we go.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. See, now, did you ask for some wholesome content? Yeah, okay. What? Wait, now, wait a second. No, wait. I did not read this fully when I put it on the screen. Now, hold on. Well, maybe there's some discrepancies with the description there, but nevertheless, I think Geo's basically in the same headspace as me, for better or worse. You know, we want our wholesome Twin Peaks diners, okay? We want like a casual, like I said, Rodney Bingenheimer, Whiskey a Go-Go, the Starwood, okay, run by some Palestinian refugee that is involved with organized crime. And, but we get to hear some rock and roll, okay? We got a nice DJ. We can trust him with the aux. Yeah, and so with that, like the Cat House, you know, the Cat House had these like Hooters girls or whatever. But listen, we're talking about aesthetics, okay? We're talking about Roger Scruton, okay? This is not vulgar. We do not encourage vulgarity on the show. But maybe me and Gio need to have a dialogue about whether it is appropriate to defend erotica. I don't know. I was catching some flack earlier today. People were not having that. But listen, I'm trying to find where the line is. Okay, I'm trying to find, you know, what is too far and what is just full blown cringe. And so, Gio, maybe we can discuss this in the DMs. But we're just trying to have wholesome aesthetics with our scene here, and a lot of that tends to be a little more exploitive. So we may need some help on that front, but it could be debatable. Okay. Maybe
Of course, that's Geo for you.
I'm afraid to do that kind of research because I don't want that in my search history. It's going to be difficult to explain. It's going to pop up during the presentations in class. It's going to blare through my speakers when I'm opening my laptop in the lecture hall. So I want to be careful with that stuff. Again, I don't want to go down a bad rabbit hole. I want this for aesthetic purposes. And no, Joe, that's not what I'm talking about. No, don't get me wrong. It's not about trying to justify it. It's about finding actual romanticism, actual German idealism, without, you know, falling victim to some bad impulses. So, type in the Chris. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if this is a good idea. Well, but it is just something that I think can help us probably with the channel and with maybe some writing here. But
although I will say, Ace, did you see the launch of the Old Glory Club? Thoughts on the Old Glory Club launching?
That's right.
A couple days ago.
Gio, okay, Gio, hold on. Gio, more on that in a minute. But yes, please go out and support the Old Glory Club. These guys, some of our favorite people. Let me put that in chat, of course. Yeah, man, these guys, I think you're going to be hearing from these guys. So
I might be part of the organization very soon, actually, if I'm not unofficially part of it.
See, okay, this was a mistake. We shouldn't have even opened my mouth for talking purposes. Listen, guys, no. I'm talking about aesthetics. This has nothing to do with decadence, okay? As far as I know. So, listen, Gio, this link, Gio, this link, this doesn't feel right, okay? This doesn't feel correct. So I don't know if maybe this isn't going so good. Joe, no, link it in chat, so I can reach out, because I'm trying to create a coalition on Instagram. All right, trying to get the people. No, guys, wait a second, man. Okay, barrel rollers. Bowing out. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, barrel roller. Listen, when we're talking about pop culture, we're talking about aesthetics, we're talking about true beauty in the philosophical sense. And with that comes romance. That was the angle. That's all I was trying to defend. And
Listen,
yeah.
Gio has a great stream with Prudentialist about this. It's not simping, it's something different. I'm not into art though, so he can explain that to you. He's the art guy of this and right. He can explain to you the difference. You just have to check it out. So there's definitely a difference though. It is different.
Yes, exactly. Platonic, okay, platonic. Get your minds out of the gutter, because I am not trying to encourage sinful behavior, okay? That's not what I'm trying to do here. So do not take my advice out of context. Do not try and twist my words. I'm talking about when we get into this pop culture scene, okay, I remember Gio was talking about, imagine if like the Dissident Right could host like a concert or something like that, like a festival type deal. It's like that kind of thinking is out there, but with that is trying to avoid some of the cringe, some of the Patti Smith poetry, some of the more less defensible things in the CBGB scene. And so it's about learning from that excess that you see with erotica and all this. I mean, it's basically pornographic. So obviously we want to try and cut off the bad influences, rightfully so. And so make no mistake, clean, family-friendly show, as always. And don't mistake it for anything else. You got to turn this world. Okay, yeah. I'm thinking the music is not helping our cause. So we are taking off the aux, and we're
Bro, maybe Paul was right about Mr. Fetterman. I mean, like I just saw the post you made. Honestly, it's probably good that the great Fetterman won. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, otherwise we wouldn't get these great jokes. I mean, like just absolute bangers here with this guy.
Hey, Captain Steel. Thoughts on Almost Famous? So I have a weird. Cameron Crowe's pretty weird for me. I like that movie. It's a little too wholesome, a little too clean. It's kind of like a Spielberg joint, but I think for the most part pretty cool. And of course, it's basically like the arc that I would like to have. So maybe it's a bit personal. So yeah, I like that movie, and it's there should be more like it. I know that, what was it? Everybody Wants Some was that director from Dazed and Confused. I haven't watched that, but I don't know. We need more hangout movies. We need more wholesome, not like these hippie movies where it's like a guy going on a hike, with no destination, but like a narrative, like Almost Famous has, but maybe a little bit more loose. Maybe take some of the narratives out, and just have it be like a hangout movie, like Tarantino talks about. So yeah, I think Almost Famous is good. Some people kind of overdose on that genre of rom-com, very gushy, basically lifetime tier. So I would say I support that movie, but maybe not so much that genre that it's associated with.
I
But
wish there was a movie about Franco. Honestly, that would be such a great movie.
Really,
About
well,
life.
there has to be, isn't there?
I really don't think there is. Honestly, I know I think there's one about the Spanish Civil War. But, like, I don't think there's one about Franco specifically, like his life. Just crushing the Republicans over and over. Well, most of the time crushing the Republicans, which is so base. It's unbelievably based. He didn't go far enough, obviously, because they came right back as soon as he died, unfortunately, and now they're in charge of Spain again. But he kind of shows us the blueprint. Honestly, we can learn a lot from Franco.
Let me 1 sec here. So yeah, I know. It's a little. There's really like no edge. It's all just squeaky clean rock history, and obviously that doesn't really do it justice. That movie did help me like Elton John a little bit more, so take that for what you will. Frankie, yes, my friend. My friend is the one who that I went to that film class with. He showed me that David Lynch short film with the monkey. I haven't really done the deep dive on that. I don't think there's much to it, but very interesting. Some Lynch content available on Netflix, so better than nothing, I guess.
That's so true, Paul. He had to appoint the cringe line of the Spanish royal family. Very cringe. When he
Zach
could have
Wilde.
appointed the Carlist, he could have done it. Could have done it. It's very sad, honestly.
Yeah, I think Brandon's got your hookup in chat. But yes, Geo, yeah, that's Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, Jennifer Aniston. I got to tell you, that arc is pretty subversive. I like the movie, but the idea that the aging glam rocker has to surrender to grunge in the dimly lit Seattle, what is it, like a bar or like a coffee house? Terrible arc, very subversive, normalizing it for gullible audiences. Don't like that ending. The ending, very subversive, but I do like everything before that. Okay, I like the flyers on people's cars in one of the opening scenes. Some of the feuding with the band. I mean, a lot of that stuff is not so cartoonish. It may look like Spinal Tap, but I think that was a pretty authentic image of some of the '80s glam scenes. So yeah, that's right. Zach Wilde, I think, was one of the guitarists. I think when after they become mainstream, and a young Miles Kennedy is the young kid that comes up onto the stage towards the end when Mark Wahlberg is leaving. He's walking away from heavy metal and he's embracing grunge. He's embracing alternative because it's time to grow up. It's time to put aside the toys and the good albums, and it's time to be a loser. It's time to check out the chrome wheels on your new car and your third wife at the at the dance. I'm trying to remember that line I said earlier today. It was what is it? The dance, dancing and drinking at the marina. Yeah, that's what they want. '80s rockers. That is the real Buckley subversion. Is in the '90s when they were gatekeeping Buchanan, they were also gatekeeping metalheads and trying to analyze their far right views, analyze their extreme music taste. And so that's why they had to use grunge as this cabal of subversive characters to cut away the strength of the Ubermensch that was Axl Rose and David Coverdale. So there you go. There's your revisionism. Okay, this is not your Ricky Rackman history lecture. This is something a little bit more true to the heart of the matter. So yes, I think mixed bag for Rockstar. Who directed that? Now that I'm thinking about it, not Rockstar Games. It's one of those Mark Wahlberg movies that doesn't. What the? There's an Indian movie called Rockstar. Hindi romance. Okay, that's not it.
Pajit movie.
Maybe. Okay, see, I don't even recognize this. Texas. Let me see here. Oh, are you kidding me? Is this the guy who did Bill and Ted? No. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, my goodness. I think I knew this once upon a time, but I guess it's been a while. And the Mighty Ducks movies. Okay. Maybe that's why people don't know about it. Maybe that explains it a little bit more. Alrighty. But yeah, controversial take, barring Alice in Chains. Has more clean musicality with a lot of bands. Maybe. Post grunge. I don't know about that. Because I feel like we're still stuck in that wave, aren't we? You know, I mean, yeah, Nickelback's new single sounds very heavy, but that's really the exception. You know, a lot of those post grunge bands, I don't know, it just kind of it just watered everything down. And you know, at least with the early grunge bands like Mother Love Bone and what is it, Mudhoney, at least those guys had some metal roots, and so you could see the lineage. With this post grunge thing, it's like they skipped a generation and just went right into something that was new, just to step outside the MTV the MTV like revolving door of stuff that was happening, but I don't know. Creed is unironic. Maybe Creed has some good stuff. What is it? Clay? What's that album? Midterm coverage stream, by the way. Let me check the
Don't think there's much updates other than
have
not
okay,
the
I was thinking
best
of
results.
all over the place tonight. Smashing Pumpkins consider grunge. I think that's post-grunge style-wise. Maybe alternative, maybe a more appropriate term. But I don't think grunge technically. Definitely influence, but not quite meeting that threshold. Stone Temple Pilots, I like that first album. That's kind of what I stick to for them. Veered into grunge, but they're solid. Yeah, I think, Gio's got the lore. He's got the lore on that.
He's got the lore on every art thing, honestly. He
True.
knows a lot, honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some help sifting through all this, all of these links and chats that, I don't know, man. I would say because I'm listening to a lot of.
Although I will say it was fun growing up with the All Right on YouTube when that was a thing. That was quite an interesting time. Was an experience.
Are you experienced? Maybe.
The old All Right, yes.
Have another friend named Frankie. Wait a second here. Well, yeah, Captain Steel. I think we agree there. What the Captain Steel? Thank you, Captain Steel, for $4.99. TID was the best grunge band besides Alice in Chains. Well, wait a second, fellas. To back on track, is Masters going to win? Yeah, let's. Now, I'm afraid to even pull that up. All it takes is Gio to enter the chat.
It ain't looking very good. I'm ready to say that now.
Uh-oh. Listen, I can't be black-pilled, okay? I'm already in a good state of mind. Listen, Blake Masters is going to win in some way. Maybe not in this election, but you have not seen the last of this man. Whatever that may be, maybe.
Still waiting Nevada, though. So,
Nevada? All right. No, that's the thing. I think Schopenhauer wrote about this. You cannot be black-pilled, even within the context of this video, even though this is a midterm madness. You do need to distract yourself to see, to understand.
Just go watch some John Fetterman, honestly. What you need to do is just stop paying attention to the results. Go watch some John Fetterman speeches. You will be insanely white-pilled from the humor. He was elected, this orc who was elected in Pennsylvania. It's great. You got to go watch it. It's some really good comedy there. The orc is now in charge of Pennsylvania, guys. So
Patriots are in control.
Exactly. Honestly, Fetterman nationalism 100%.
Man. Yeah, I don't know, Captain Steel. I have to listen to more of them because I'm not too privy to them. So, but thank you, Captain Steel. I need to start listening to albums in full. I've been getting pretty lazy. All right, did I miss anything here? Yeah, also, just to verify something from earlier. Yeah, we don't want to listen, we already have AA posting all kinds of subversive stuff on Twitter. So I'm not trying to add to that list. I'm just saying that instead of doing that, what he's been doing on Twitter, I'd like us to do something a little bit different, all right? A little different genre. So That's the thing, okay? Not trying to contribute to this series that he has going apparently, but yeah, that's. I want to be crystal clear where my intentions are, okay? Nothing too distracting.
Well, I will say some historical periods. I've really been getting into like Spain's conquest of Morocco and France, just taking over Africa and splitting it up. You know, the
Okay.
politics
Well, I think
before
Paul
World
may
War
have
One.
been referencing something similar right here. That may
Very
be.
interesting, honestly. Really explains a lot about the current some of the ways so why Africa is the way it is with its current geopolitics. There's many other reasons for that, but quite interesting to see these European power battles over these colonies. It's a very interesting era, honestly.
Geo, my friend, my patriot. I don't know if that is a flex, my guy. I don't know, man. That is not something I can describe myself as. So maybe you'll have to take the reins on that front. But
That's so true, Geo. Honestly, but Fetterman, I mean, guys, like the comedy just is so good. Like honestly, it's probably worth it. I would have to say, honestly.
am I boomer teching? Okay,
Okay, you're
sorry
back
about.
now.
Okay, they're trying to subvert
But
the
in
run.
sincere reality, yeah, honestly, Fetterman winning is just why we need to have absolute monarchy and theocracy at this point. Open theocracy.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to allude to earlier with, you know, the people can say what they want about the electoral system in place, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people not voting in their interest, and so that may be the more fundamental issue, rather than focusing so much time about a system that may or may not be fixed by 5 or 10 years. So I think, like Rock was saying, that's a bit of a crutch. It's kind of a scapegoat in a way. Obviously, for the sake of YouTube, I think we all know what I'm referring to. But really, I mean, let's talk about how people still believe in this stuff. Believe in all this. I mean, it's basically like the George Bush flag waving patriotism of this era. The democracy worship. So
The
it's
more time goes by, the more I hate democracy. As each passing day comes by, I hate democracy every more, a little bit more than I did the day before. So I'm making some progress.
Ryan Turnipseed had a pretty oh, okay, I see the cookie screenshots. We're back. But before that, I thought this was like the perfect note to end on election day. We love our boy HL Mencken. Let's who Garak referenced in one of his articles recently. I thought this was like the perfect tweet to see towards the end of the night. Everything's winding down. Some of the takes were a bit pessimistic, but ultimately, I think Ryan really got to the heart of the matter here. So, anyways, maybe brush up on Mencken. The guy's got some ancient wisdom there.
Just read some elite theory, honestly.
There you
People
go.
would
Hey,
just act.
speaking of the
Please.
Italians, it always comes back. That's the thing. I can't go after the Italians anymore. It's just not appropriate. On every front, the philosophical front, the cultural front, the American front, I don't have a leg to stand on. So, hey, man, can we get some 07s for Pareto? All right, for Moscow. Where's the Gabriel Spock
I mean,
channel
this
here?
election, along with everything else, should kind of just prove everything you already know about elite theory. You know.
Let me wanted to shout out Gabriel Spock. I've been meaning to reach out to the guy. Let me here we are, the man himself, with nice graphics and narration. For those that don't know, since he's a bit under the radar a bit, show the guy some love, put respect on the guy's name. Thank you, George. Am I saying that right, by the way, George Puente? I don't want to mispronounce some of my favorite people in chat. Non-mainstream grunge, yeah, that may be the avenue rather than all the stuff that people hype up. Thank you, Captain Steele. All righty. There we go. There we go. Well, listen, I'm going to be having a late night dinner. What should I have? American Populist. I'm pretty I've been on a pretty good streak. My diet's been improving. I ate a whole stack of ribs. I think that was yesterday. I don't even know what day it is. I basically had 2 meals in one sitting. Now, I don't recommend that for everybody, but I've
You
been
have
on
the genetics for it.
pretty good
Do
streak.
it.
So what okay, we got thank you, Brandon. In-N-Out. Hey, Brandon was telling me about his In-N-Out experience. That was so comfy. That was so I felt like I was there. But that is very tempting. We got Paul with the pizza. I'm gonna have pizza pretty soon, so I don't wanna be excessive.
I would say
Another
steak
In-N-Out.
if you got it. Maybe a burger. If you can make a
George,
homemade burger, those are
eat
pretty
meat.
good.
I think
Or
James has
fish. I like fish too. I like
fish,
salmon.
maybe.
Salmon's pretty good if you can cook it right.
James has the right idea. I gotta stick to the beef. I gotta as people have been telling me. So it is what it is. But all right. Looks like In-N-Out won the poll, so it is tempting. Good night. Hey, thank you, Captain Steele. Keep rambling on, Captain Steele. Thank you for the recommendation. What was that? The Royal Albert Hall? I think that was part of the DVD. Man, they just got that band seemingly in their prime. So thank you, man. That concert has been with me for some time now. Thank you for the recommendation. In-N-Out. Whoa, Tuesday
Oh, we got
Tuesday.
Texas guy over here.
Wait a second. Yeah, clear Texas nationalist over here. All right, big guy.
And
Wow.
we all know that only 2 people come from Texas: steers and queers. You're
That's what I've
clearly a
heard.
queer, so
I've
supporting
heard that.
Waterworks not looking good for you, man. Honestly.
Tuesday, please. No friendly fire on the show Tuesday. We love our West Coasters. We love our fellow Californians. And listen, that's the kind of fuel that is helping us stay dissident in these trying times. So I don't know if I could get that kind of energy from Whataburger. I don't know. I don't think I've had it yet. So little on the fence for now. We'll see what happens. That was the first one. Thank you, Captain Steele. But yeah. What is it, James? Were you? Nah, I am not. I don't know about that, James. But thank you. I think you were right on the money the first go around. Need to. Yeah, maybe this is the real national divorce. Is all the different chains that are causing all this influence, all this infighting. Very unnecessary infighting on the dissident right. Really comes down to like a restaurant preference. So
it
maybe
really does. All conflict can be boiled down to these fundamental loyalties that are just baked within your genetics. Honestly, unchangeable. You know, these divisions are extremely difficult to beat, but I think we can manage it on the DR. Just not Texas, though.
So you would say that's the real bio-Leninism on the right.
Honestly, it does play a component.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to not keep in mind. Man, maybe there's something to that. Fast food, and yeah, there you go.
I would say the current Habsburg is really based on Twitter, so I mean, that probably would be better for Texas than the current wheelchair in charge cripple.
A real question: cake or pie? I've never been a pie guy, frankly. That's probably just a me thing, though. I like cake, though.
Cake comes from Europe, honestly. Cake is for the aristocratic class, which I come from the South. Many generals who fought in the Confederacy, a lot of the aristocrats, so I'm not going to have to go with cake. Pie is for the peasants who could barely afford anything, honestly. gonna have to go with cake there. Cake is the superior tradition for the right, honestly. Super based and traditional, you know.
All right. Aristocratic, maybe a little Anglo. The cakes, maybe. Who knows?
Exactly, honestly.
Interesting. All right. So pie. All right.
I'm gonna disagree with you there, Tuesday. You're from Texas, which is barely part of the South at this point. So
Really?
I'm gonna have to
Oh,
debate that
wow.
with you, honestly. Texas is kind of its own culture, honestly. So it's not true Southern the way I would define it, honestly.
Maybe a little too cosmopolitan over there in Texas. I don't know. Interesting. All right. Well, hey, American Populace, I want you to get your plugins here. Where can people find you? And
if you're interested in my content, which is I am gonna have some more content. Sorry, I have been uploading. I've been lazy, so. But you can find me at American Populace, same as my username. Check me out. I'm gonna have more content. I'm gonna have a Thomas stream hopefully coming up this Friday. We're gonna talk about nukes. When we talk about the Chicago accent, kind of want to talk about that with him as well. So we're gonna have some interesting stuff coming up. We're gonna have Prude on. We're gonna discuss realist foreign policy. So got a lot of epic stuff coming on my channel. Definitely keep supporting it. Can't wait to get over 1,000 guys. Come on.
Fantastic. Yeah, man. Prude and Geo, their show on Thursdays has been
really good stuff there, honestly. I watch
one of my favorites.
Every week.
I mean, literally one of my favorite things on the internet right now. So yeah, to answer Geo, your question from earlier, yeah, I think the GOP did felt themselves, which is an unfortunate tendency they seem to have. Yeah, comfy. Yo, let's go. All righty. I think we're going to be wrapping up here. Want to make sure I didn't neglect anybody. I know there was Pepe was put some Thomas support in chat. Let me try and find that. Fish it out here. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. In the bag of tricks. And then Elvis Jr., Fat Elvis Jr., I think that was. Thank you. With some of the midterm content. Yeah, I think this is the note to end on. And I'll get your Twitter in chat too.
That would be based if true. I will have to ask Mr. Thomas to see if that is true.
Reminder that Elvis and Governor Wallace from Alabama did in fact meet. So make of that what you will. Here's American Populace. Oh, Brian, you're catching us at the end of happy hour, man. Tuned in by gaming. Oh, okay, there you go. No, you were here. You were in the audience. You were at the bar. You were flirting with all the other waitresses. So thank you, man. I'm glad you were in attendance. Very much appreciate it. Hey, shout out. Can we get a big shout out to Brandon in chat who helped us grease the wheels for tonight's show. I've been neglecting the show, and this guy just shot like an adrenaline needle straight into the show and seemingly brought it back to life. So, hey, please, I encourage everybody. There's 27 people watching. Please, more than one person, put some 07s in Brandon. The guy's a legend, okay? Would not be here without him. So, please, show some support, show some love. Love the guy. All righty. Did I neglect anything else? My goodness. Let's go. Yeah, there we go, George. There we go. Oh, 777. Hey, you know what? I can't resist. Now there's an 07. Now that is a proper 07. I'm thinking we're so back. So, all righty. Man, oh man. Time flies, man. I don't know how this show just flies by so easily, but I guess that's the nature of it. All right. Well, American Populace, thank you, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. good to hear from you again. You got me to talk about California once upon a time ago, and yeah, it's good to be back with you once again. So, well, I'll be hearing from you, man. You got some good content lined up, so you're the man. Got some. All righty. Man, oh man. So again, just want to preface, despite any of these results, politics, if you're so inclined to put emotional investment in it, I think that what Barack Obama said should be reminded at the end of this thing here, that it is very blackpilling. It's a little bit of a mixed bag, but there is some optimism. I know we're going to have to be dealing with some of these archetypes since they're now integrated into politics officially, unfortunately. But there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes developments, a lot of positivity happening. And just because it's not out there in the news like all these election results, still good things to come. A lot of good victories in our lifetime. So
the best is yet to come, as the good man says, Trump, best is yet to come, guys.
Dude,
it hasn't come yet. Gotta wait.
Exactly. Do not let them, break your spirit. You guys got stuff to be happy about. So I just want to keep that message front and center. And don't let these headlines bring you down. Okay. What is this? A bunch of journalists writing this stuff. All right. We don't listen to people like that. So thank you guys. It's been an honor. 1 a.m. for Brian, and I hunger for cheese. I'm in a similar spot, big guy. Thank you, man. Thank you, everybody, once and all. Appreciate you stopping by for the midterm coverage. Check out Old Glory Club. They're going to be just popping out all kinds of content. So if you want a nice little taste of the direction of the distant right, check out the Old Glory Club. They're on Telegram, they're on YouTube, and they're on Twitter. So, well, they are out there. And you know what? Let's just give them the last shilling, and then we can scram, okay? And then we can clear them out, right? So let's of course, American populist, Barack Obama, these guys are all over the map, my goodness. And they're also coming out with Substack content. What else we got here? I just want to give proper thanks to all the people that helped make this show possible. Whoops, audio check. All righty. And then, of course, Barack Obama, American populist. Thank you, Rainer. Thank you, Tuesday, FA Tuesday. Jack, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Barack is in Twitter jail, so once again, like everything else, patience will help you to, he will be back, and it'll be worth the wait. So we got some links right there in chat. So thank you guys. Very much appreciate it. Have a great rest of your night. Stay white-pilled. I beg you, stay white-pilled, and have a great rest of your evening. Take it easy.